Hey everybody, and a very warm welcome to this B2 English listening practice video. I'm thrilled you've decided to join me today. Whether you're commuting, taking a break, or dedicating specific time to your English studies, you're in the right place. You can use this video to really train your listening skills and boost your comprehension as I speak. The goal here isn't just to hear English, but to understand it, to grasp the nuances, the subtleties, and of course, the everyday expressions that make the language so rich and vibrant. Are you ready? I hope so, because we have a lot to cover. So, today I'm going to talk about a selection of common idioms that we use in English. Now, you might be wondering, why focus so much on idioms? Well, idiomatic expressions play such an incredibly important role in any language, not just English. They are the phrases and sayings that don't necessarily make sense if you try to understand them literally, word by word. Instead, they have a figurative meaning that native speakers understand almost instinctively. Think of them as the secret handshake of a language. Knowing them helps you connect more deeply with native speakers and understand the culture behind the language. Using idioms correctly can make your English sound much more natural and fluent. It shows you have a deeper understanding beyond just textbook grammar and vocabulary. Plus, idioms often add color, humor, or emphasis to what you're saying. They are woven into the fabric of everyday conversation, movies, TV shows, books, and news articles. So it's incredibly good to always be learning new ones and, just as importantly, understanding how and when to use them appropriately. It's a continuous journey even for native speakers sometimes, as language is always evolving. In this session, we'll explore several idioms. For each one, I'll explain its meaning, give you a few examples of how it's used in context, and sometimes, where possible and interesting, I might touch upon its potential origin, though the history of idioms can often be a bit mysterious. Don't worry if you don't catch everything the first time. The great thing about a video is that you can pause, rewind, and listen again. That's part of the practice. So, without further ado, let's look at our first one. Once in a blue moon. Host. Our first idiom today is once in a blue moon. I'm sure some of you have come across this expression at some point in your life, perhaps while watching a film or reading a book, but maybe you didn't quite understand it when it was said, or you weren't entirely sure of its precise meaning. So, what does it mean? If we say that something happens once in a blue moon, it means that this thing happens very rarely, very infrequently. It's not something that occurs on a regular basis at all. For example, I could say, my brother lives in Australia, so I only get to see him once in a blue moon. This means I see him very, very rarely because of the distance. Another example. A student as brilliant as Sarah comes along once in a blue moon. She's truly exceptional. This implies that such talented students are not common. Or imagine a friend who notoriously dislikes cooking says, I actually cooked a full meal last night. You might respond, wow, that happens once in a blue moon. Now you might be curious about the origin. A blue moon traditionally refers to the second full moon that occurs within the same calendar month. Since a full moon cycle is about 29.5 days, it's unusual for two full moons to happen in 1 month, but it does occur roughly every 2 to 3 years. So, once in a blue moon captures this idea of rarity. It's not impossible, but it's certainly not frequent. Think about events in your own life. What happens once in a blue moon for you? Maybe you treat yourself to a fancy dinner once in a blue moon, or perhaps you visit a particular place once in a blue moon. It's a great idiom to express rarity in a more colorful way than just saying seldom or rarely. Let's consider a mini dialogue. Person A, do you ever go to the opera? Person B, once in a blue moon if there's something really special playing. It's not my usual kind of entertainment. See how it fits naturally? It conveys that it's not a regular activity, but a rare occurrence. All right, I hope that one is clear. It's a classic. All right, here's another idiom for you. This one is incredibly useful, especially when you're not feeling your best. To feel under the weather. Host. This is an essential one that you should definitely learn. To feel under the weather. It simply means that you're feeling a little sick, unwell, or not quite yourself. You wouldn't typically use this expression if you were really seriously ill, or if you had some really serious medical condition or something life-threatening. But you can definitely use it if you have a common cold, a slight headache, or you're just feeling generally a bit off and not at your full energy. So, I might say, I'm going to have to skip tonight's party because I'm feeling a little under the weather. This tells the host that I'm not feeling well enough to attend, without needing to go into dramatic detail about my symptoms. It's a polite and common way to explain a minor illness. In fact, I'm actually feeling a little under the weather right now, just a tiny bit, because I've been having some issues with my throat and sinuses. Nothing serious, but I'm not 100%. Here are a few more examples. John didn't come to work today. He said he was feeling under the weather. I woke up feeling a bit under the weather, so I think I'll take it easy today. You look a bit pale. Are you feeling under the weather? Origin of this phrase is thought to be nautical. On ships, if a sailor was seasick or unwell, they would often be sent below deck to rest, away from the harsh weather on the main deck. So they were literally under the weather deck, and by extension, under the weather. It's a nice visual, isn't it? It's a very versatile phrase. You can use it for yourself or to describe how someone else is feeling. It's generally understood by all English speakers. Consider this. Boss. Sarah, you seem a bit distracted today. Is everything all right, Sarah? Oh, I'm okay, thanks. Just feeling a little under the weather, but I'll manage. It's a good way to communicate that you're not at your peak performance without making a big fuss. So, next time you're feeling slightly unwell, you know exactly what to say. Okay, the third idiom that we're going to look at is a more dramatic one. This one is stab someone in the back. Stab someone in the back. Host. This is another expression that you definitely want to get down to understand thoroughly. It's quite universal in its meaning, and I'm sure the expression or the concept is pretty similar in other languages, even if it might be worded a little differently. So when you stab someone in the back, it means you betray them. And more. Often than not. This betrayal is done in a pretty dramatic, unexpected, or brutal way, especially by someone you trusted. It implies treachery and deceit from a person you considered a friend or ally. For example, let's say I tell a really embarrassing, personal secret to my good friend, someone I trust implicitly. And then that my good friend goes and tells a bunch of other people my secret, perhaps even laughing about it. This would absolutely be considered him stabbing me in the back. He has broken my trust in a very painful way. Here are some other scenarios. She thought he was her closest colleague, but he took credit for her project. She felt completely stabbed in the back. I can't believe he voted against me after promising his support. What a stab in the back. He warned his business partner about potential investors, only to find out his partner went behind his back and made a deal alone. That's a classic stab in the back. The imagery is quite vivid and strong, isn't it? A physical stab is an attack, and one in the back is particularly cowardly because the victim doesn't see it coming. The idiom captures this sense of unexpected and damaging betrayal. This phrase is almost always used in a negative and accusatory way. You wouldn't say it lightly. It carries a heavy emotional weight. Think about a situation in a movie or a book where a character betrays another. That's often a perfect example of stabbing someone in the back. It's a common theme in storytelling because it's such a powerful human experience. Pretty straightforward, right? But also quite a potent expression. All right, the next idiom is one of my personal favorites, mainly because it sounds a bit quirky. It's cold turkey. For cold turkey. Host. The phrase cold turkey is used to describe how someone quits a harmful habit or addiction. Specifically, it means they quit suddenly and completely, immediately, without any gradual reduction, program, or weaning off process to help them. So, if a man's been smoking a pack of cigarettes every day for the last 30 years, and then one day he just stops completely, throws away his cigarettes, and never touches them again, he quit cold turkey. Or if a drug addict suddenly throws away all his drugs and quits completely, without any medical supervision or tapering off, he quit cold turkey. It can also be used for less serious habits. For example, I was eating way too much chocolate, so I decided to quit cold turkey for a month. Here are more examples. She was addicted to coffee, drinking 10 cups a day, but she quit cold turkey last week and has been having terrible headaches. He tried to cut down on social media gradually, but it didn't work. In the end, he had to go cold turkey and delete all his apps. Don't ask me where this expression came from. The origin is actually a bit debated and unclear. One theory suggests it relates to the way the skin of someone undergoing sudden withdrawal from certain drugs can look: cold, clammy, and with goosebumps, supposedly resembling the skin of a plucked cold turkey. Another theory links it to the idea of eating cold turkey, the food, as something plain and unprepared, symbolizing a direct and unadorned approach. Whatever the origin, the meaning is very clear: abrupt and total cessation. It usually implies a certain amount of difficulty or willpower involved because stopping a habit suddenly can be very challenging. Consider this. Friend 1. Are you still trying to give up sugar? Friend 2. Yes. I tried cutting down, but it was too hard. So I just went cold turkey. The first few days were rough, but it's getting easier. It's a very vivid way to describe a sudden and complete stop. All right, 1. More idiom from the original set before we introduce some new ones. This one is born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Born with a silver spoon in his, her, their mouth. Host. Born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Of course, you can substitute his with any other possessive pronoun like her, their, or even a specific name like John was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. This idiom is often used, and usually negatively, to describe someone who was born into a wealthy family and therefore has had advantages in life from birth without having to earn them. It implies privilege, affluence, and often a life free from financial worries. You wouldn't want to say this to somebody's face, though, as it can be considered quite insulting or dismissive of any efforts they might have made themselves. People usually say this when they're making disparaging remarks about somebody else, perhaps implying that the person doesn't understand the struggles of ordinary people or hasn't had to work hard for what they have. So you might hear someone say something like this. It's easy for him to take big financial risks. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, so he always has a safety net. Or, she's never had a real job or faced any hardship. She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth and everything has been handed to her. The origin is quite literal. In centuries past, silver spoons were items of considerable value. It was a tradition for godparents to give a silver spoon as a christening gift to a child born into a wealthy family, symbolizing prosperity. So, being born with a silver spoon meant you were born into wealth from the very beginning. It's important to note the often critical or resentful tone associated with this idiom. While it describes a state of being, born wealthy, it often carries an undercurrent of judgment about the person's character or their understanding of the real world. So, hopefully, those first 5 idioms, some of which might have been familiar, are now even clearer. Now you've got a few more native phrases in your arsenal, or perhaps a deeper understanding of them. But we're not stopping there. Let's expand our collection of useful idioms. Cost an arm and a leg. Host. Our next idiom is cost an arm and a leg. This is a very common way to say that something is extremely expensive. If something costs an arm and a leg, it means you have to pay a lot of money for it, perhaps more than you were expecting or more than seems reasonable. For example, I'd love to buy that designer handbag, but it costs an arm and a leg. Getting the car repaired after the accident cost an arm and a leg. We wanted to renovate the kitchen, but the quotes we got suggested it would cost an arm and a leg, so we're rethinking. The origin isn't definitively known, but a popular theory suggests it might date back to times of war, where soldiers literally risked losing limbs. Another, perhaps more plausible idea is that it refers to the great value we place on our limbs, so to give them up for something would mean that thing is incredibly valuable or expensive. It could also be linked to portrait painting, where paintings showing more of the body, arms and legs, were more expensive than just a head and shoulders. Regardless of its exact origin, it's a very expressive way to talk about high prices. Imagine this conversation. Person A. Did you see the new smartphone that just came out? Person B. Yes, it looks amazing, but I heard it costs an arm and a leg. I'll wait until the price comes down. So, if you find something prohibitively expensive, this is the perfect idiom to use. Break a leg. Host. Now for a fun one. Break a leg. This might sound like a terrible thing to wish upon someone, but in the world of theater and performance, it actually means good luck. It's a superstitious way to wish a performer success without jinxing them by saying good luck directly, which some theater folk believe is bad luck. So, if your friend is about to go on stage for a play, a concert, or even give an important presentation, you can say break a leg. Examples: it's your opening night, break a leg. You've practiced so hard for this audition, go out there and break a leg. My daughter has her first piano recital tonight. I told her to break a leg. The origin of this phrase is shrouded in a bit of theatrical mystery. There are many theories. One is that it refers to an actor bowing so many times after a successful performance that they metaphorically break a leg. Another suggests it comes from the idea of the leg line in old theaters, the curtains at the side of the stage, and to break it meant to successfully get on stage. Yet another slightly grimmer theory links it to the understudies wishing the main actor would break their leg so they could get a chance to perform. Whatever the true origin, it's a well-established and friendly way to wish someone good luck, especially in a performance context. Just be careful using it outside of that context, as someone unfamiliar with the idiom might take it literally. Hit the nail on the head. Host. Our next idiom is hit the nail on the head. If you hit the nail on the head, it means you describe something exactly as it is, or you say something that is precisely correct or accurate. You've identified the core of an issue or made a very astute observation. For example, when you said the problem was a lack of communication, you really hit the nail on the head. The critics' review of the film hit the nail on the head. It perfectly captured its strengths and weaknesses. She listened to my complicated explanation and then hit the nail on the head with her summary of the main point. The imagery here is very clear. When you're hammering a nail, you want to hit it directly on its head to drive it in straight and effectively. If you hit it slightly off, it doesn't work as well or might bend. So, hitting the nail on the head means you've done something perfectly and accurately. Consider this. Colleague 1. I think our sales are down because our marketing isn't reaching the right audience. Colleague 2. You've hit the nail on the head. We need to rethink our strategy. It's a great way to acknowledge that someone has understood or expressed something with perfect accuracy. Let the cat out of the bag. Host. Here's an interesting one. Let the cat out of the bag. This idiom means to reveal a secret, often accidentally or carelessly. If someone lets the cat out of the bag, they've disclosed information that was supposed to be kept confidential. Examples. We were planning a surprise party for Sarah, but her brother let the cat out of the bag. I tried to keep my new job a secret, but my mom let the cat out of the bag when she was talking to my aunt. The company was hoping to launch the product next month, but a leaked memo let the cat out of the bag early. The origin of this idiom is thought to come from old marketplaces. Dishonest traders would sometimes try to trick customers by putting a cat in a bag, a poke, instead of a more valuable piglet that the customer thought they were buying. If the cat was let out of the bag before the transaction was complete, the fraud would be revealed. The related idiom, buy a pig in a poke, means to buy something without inspecting it properly. So, when a secret is revealed, the cat is out of the bag. Imagine. Friend A. How did everyone find out I'm moving? Friend B. Well, Tom mentioned it at lunch. He accidentally let the cat out of the bag. It usually implies an unintentional revelation, though it can sometimes be used for a deliberate one if the focus is on the secret now being known. 10. Bite the bullet. Host. Our next idiom is bite the bullet. This means to face a difficult, painful, or unpleasant situation with courage and stoicism, and to endure it without complaining. You accept that something is unavoidable and decide to get through it. For instance, I really don't want to study for this exam, but I guess I'll just have to bite the bullet and get it done. The company was losing money, so the CEO had to bite the bullet and lay off some employees. He knew the medical procedure would be painful, but he bit the bullet and went through with it for his health. The origin of this phrase is believed to come from the days before anesthesia in surgery, particularly on battlefields. Patients undergoing surgery would literally be given a lead bullet to bite down on to help them cope with the extreme pain and to prevent them from crying out or biting their tongue. A grim image, but it perfectly conveys the idea of enduring something very tough. Consider this scenario. Person 1. My car needs expensive repairs and I really can't afford it right now. Person 2. I know it's tough, but you need your car. You'll just have to bite the bullet and pay for the repairs. It emphasizes the acceptance of a necessary hardship. Get something off your chest. Host. Let's look at get something off your chest. This idiom means to confess something, to talk about something that has been worrying you or bothering you for a while, in order to feel relief. It's about unburdening yourself by expressing your thoughts or feelings. For example, I've been worried about this for weeks. I'm glad I finally talked to you and got it off my chest. He seemed much happier after he got his complaints off his chest during the meeting. If something's bothering you, it's often best to talk to someone and get it off your chest. The metaphor is quite clear. You imagine a weight or burden pressing on your chest, and by speaking about it, you remove that weight. Here's a little exchange. Friend A: You seem really down lately. What's wrong? Friend B: There's something I need to get off my chest. I made a mistake at work and I'm really worried about it. This idiom is all about the relief that comes from expressing pent-up emotions or anxieties. The ball is in your court. Host: Next up, the ball is in your court. This idiom comes from sports like tennis or volleyball. It means that it is now someone else's turn to make a decision, take action, or respond. The responsibility has shifted to them. For example, I've made my offer. Now the ball is in your court to accept it or not. We've provided all the information they asked for. The ball is in their court to approve the project. I've apologized and tried to make amends. The ball is in her court now if she wants to forgive me. It clearly signifies a transfer of responsibility or the next move. Imagine a negotiation. Negotiator: 1. We've presented our final terms. Negotiator: 2. Okay, we will review them. We understand the ball is in our court now. It's a common phrase in both personal and professional contexts when a decision or action is awaited from another party. Piece of cake. Host: Piece of cake. This is a delightful idiom meaning that something is very easy to do. If a task or challenge is a piece of cake, it requires very little effort. For instance, don't worry about the exam. I've studied the material thoroughly. It'll be a piece of cake. He thought fixing the tap would be difficult, but it turned out to be a piece of cake. For an experienced programmer like her, writing that simple script was a piece of cake. Why a piece of cake? Well, eating a piece of cake is generally a very easy and enjoyable thing to do. The idiom likely emerged in the 19th or early 20th century, possibly from U.S. military slang, where cakewalk also meant something easy, referring to a graceful walk or dance contest where cake was the prize. Consider this. Student A: Are you Chigisa? Nervous about the driving test? Student B: Not really, I've had lots of practice. I think it'll be a piece of cake. It's a very common and informal way to describe something as easy. Fiesta: Spill the beans. Host: Spill the beans. This idiom is quite similar in meaning to let the cat out of the bag. It means to reveal secret information, often unintentionally or indiscreetly. Examples: We were trying to keep the engagement a secret, but my sister spilled the beans at the family dinner. Who spilled the beans about the surprise inspection? He promised not to tell anyone, but he can't keep a secret and eventually spilled the beans. The origin of spill the beans is uncertain, but one theory relates to an ancient Greek voting system where beans were used. Voters would place a white bean for yes or a dark bean for no into a jar. If the jar was accidentally knocked over and the beans spilled, the results of the vote would be revealed prematurely. It's a plausible explanation for the idea of revealing something before its time. Here's how you might hear it. Person 1: How did you find out about the new project? Person 2: Oh, Mark spilled the beans during coffee break. He didn't realize it was still confidential. It's another colorful way to talk about revealing secrets. Cry over spilt milk or spilled milk. Host. Don't cry over spilt milk. This proverb or idiom means that you shouldn't be upset or waste time worrying about something bad that has already happened and cannot be changed. What's done is done, and dwelling on it is unproductive. For example, yes, I failed the test, but there's no use crying over spilt milk. I just need to study harder for the next one. He was upset that he missed the train, but his friend told him not to cry over spilt milk and to just catch the next one. She lost her favorite necklace, and while she was sad, she knew it was no good crying over spilt milk. The imagery is simple. If you spill milk, you can't unspill it. Crying about it won't put the milk back in the glass. It's a very practical piece of advice about accepting past misfortunes and moving on. This phrase encourages a forward-looking attitude. Child, crying. I broke my toy. Parent, oh dear. Well, there's no use crying over spilt milk. Let's see if we can fix it, or perhaps we can find a new one. It's a common piece of wisdom passed down. Ow. Kill two birds with one stone. Host. Kill two birds with one stone. This idiom means to achieve two aims or solve two problems with a single action or effort. It's about efficiency and accomplishing multiple things simultaneously. For instance, I can pick up the dry cleaning on my way to the supermarket, killing two birds with one stone. She decided to listen to an English podcast while jogging, thus killing two birds with one stone, getting exercise and practicing her listening skills. By inviting both clients to the same lunch, he hoped to kill two birds with one stone and save time. The origin seems fairly literal. If you could actually hit two birds with a single stone thrown, it would be a very efficient, though perhaps not very kind to the birds, way of hunting. The phrase has been around for centuries. Consider this. Person. A. I need to go to the bank and I also need to post a letter. Person B. There's a post office right next to the bank. You can kill two birds with one stone. A very useful idiom for talking about being efficient with your time and actions. Speak of the devil. Host. Speak of the devil. Or speak of the devil, and he doth appear, shall appear. This is an exclamation you use when a person you have just been talking about unexpectedly appears or contacts you. For example, we were just discussing how we haven't seen John in ages, and speak of the devil, here he comes now. I was just telling Maria about your new car. Oh, speak of the devil. That's you calling, Mark. The full original phrase was, speak of the devil and he's sure to appear, stemming from an old superstition that if you mention the devil by name, he might actually show up. Over time, it has become a light-hearted way to acknowledge the coincidence of someone appearing just as they are being discussed. It's usually said in a surprised but friendly tone. Colleague 1. I wonder if Sarah has finished that report yet. Sarah walks in. Colleague 2. Well, speak of the devil. Sarah, we were just talking about you. A common and fun expression for everyday coincidences. See eye to eye. Host. To see eye to eye with someone means to agree with them, to share the same opinion or viewpoint on a particular matter. If you don't see eye to eye, it means you disagree. Examples. My boss and I don't always see eye to eye on marketing strategies, but we respect each other's opinions. Although they are sisters, they rarely see eye to eye on politics. It's great that the whole team sees eye to eye on the goals for this project. The imagery suggests looking at something from the same perspective, hence having the same view. When your eyes are aligned, you see the same thing. Here's a simple dialogue. Partner 1. I think we should invest more in renewable energy. Partner 2. I completely agree. It's good to know we see eye to eye on this important issue. This is often used when talking about important issues or decisions where agreement is significant. Un. A blessing in disguise. Host. A blessing in disguise. This idiom refers to something that seems bad, unlucky, or unfortunate at first, but ultimately results in something good or positive happening later on. For example, losing my job was a blessing in disguise because it pushed me to start my own successful business. Missing the train was a blessing in disguise. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have met my future wife who was on the next one. The initial failure of the product was a blessing in disguise, as it allowed us to gather feedback and create something much better. The idea is that an apparent misfortune, disguise, actually conceals a benefit, blessing. It speaks to the idea that sometimes bad things can lead to good outcomes, even if we don't see it at the time. Think about this. Friend 1. I'm so upset my flight was canceled. Friend 2. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Perhaps staying an extra day will lead to an unexpected opportunity. It's an optimistic idiom that encourages looking for the positive in negative situations. Call it a day, host. And finally, for our last idiom in this extended session, call it a day. This means to stop working on something, or to stop doing whatever activity you've been engaged in, usually for the rest of the day. It implies that you've done enough or that it's time to finish. For example, we've been working on this report for 8 hours straight. I think it's time to call it a day. The light is fading, and we're all tired. Let's call it a day, and continue hiking tomorrow. After 3 unsuccessful attempts to fix the computer, I decided to call it a day and try again in the morning. It doesn't necessarily mean the work is completely finished, but rather that you're stopping for now. The origin is straightforward. It's like declaring the end of the working day. A common workplace scenario. Manager. All right, team. It's 5 p.m. and we've made good progress. Let's call it a day. It can also be used more informally for any activity, not just work. We've played enough video games. Let's call it a day. Conclusion. Host. Wow, that was quite a journey through the world of English idioms. We've covered a lot of ground, from things happening once in a blue moon to deciding to call it a day. We talked about feeling under the weather, the pain of being stabbed in the back, the resolve of quitting cold turkey, and the privilege of being born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Then we explored how expensive things can cost an arm and a leg, how to wish someone luck by saying break a leg, and how to acknowledge accuracy when someone hits the nail on the head. We learned about revealing secrets when you let the cat out of the bag or spill the beans, and the fortitude needed to bite the bullet. We discussed the relief of getting something off your chest, the responsibility when the ball is in your court, and the joy when a task is a piece of cake. We also touched upon not crying over spilt milk, the efficiency of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, the coincidence when you speak of the devil, the agreement when you see eye to eye, and the unexpected good fortune of a blessing in disguise. Phew, that's a significant addition to your idiomatic toolkit. Remember, understanding idioms is one thing, but using them confidently and correctly is the next step. The key is practice and exposure. Listen out for these idioms when you're watching English movies or TV shows, when you're listening to podcasts, or reading English articles and books. Notice how native speakers use them in context. Don't be afraid to try using them yourself. Perhaps when you're practicing speaking with a language partner or even in your own writing. Start with a few that you feel comfortable with and gradually incorporate more as you learn them. The more you use them, the more natural they will become. Learning idioms is an ongoing process. There are thousands of them in English, and new ones can even emerge over time. But the ones we've discussed today are very common and will definitely help you understand and speak English more like a native. They add so much color, personality, and depth to the language. Okay, that's all for today's extended B2 English listening practice. I truly hope you found this session helpful and that some of these idioms were new for you, or that you gained a deeper understanding of familiar ones. Please feel free to leave a comment below. Perhaps you could try to use one of these idioms in your own sentence. I'd love to see your examples. And if you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, don't hesitate to share them. Thank you so much for joining me and for your dedication to improving your English. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep learning. I'll see you next time.